I'm Taylor, and I'll be playing the therapist, and this is my friend Emily, and she'll be playing the client.
Hi.
Emily, are you okay if I record this session?
Yes.
Okay. So what brings you in here today?
I would like to talk about my ex-boyfriend from freshman year and just how he's changed me over the past couple of years, like for my personality traits.
Okay.
So I'll just start from the beginning. We met my senior year in high school. We worked together in different departments, but still the same building and everything. And we hung out a couple times, and he seemed like such a good guy. All my friends were in love with him. They were like, oh my gosh, like, where did you meet this, like, wonderful guy?
Yeah.
And so I got super excited. That was really my first real relationship ever. And we hung out all summer leading up to the freshman year of college, and he was a year older than me, so he was already in college.
Okay.
And so he was going to be a sophomore, and I was going to be a freshman. And we hung out all summer, started dating in August. Everything was wonderful, as you can imagine. Just first love, first everything.
Right.
Like, it was such a good time. And then when I got to college, I started seeing some different traits with him. He started acting differently. He wouldn't really trust me as much. He was just questioning people I was hanging out with. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's probably normal. Like, I've never been in a real relationship before, so maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm giving reasons not to trust me.
Right.
And I never met my roommate either before going into college. We just met on like the Facebook page, and that's kind of how we met.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a boyfriend of, I think, 4 or 5 years already at this point. So it was nice coming into college having a roommate that was in a relationship, because then I didn't have her being like, oh, like, that's weird, why is that happening?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, because we kind of just did our separate things.
And you guys could also talk about, your relationships together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. And so I started noticing that I was secluding myself more. I wasn't going out, like, I wasn't meeting people, joining clubs or anything. I really only had my boyfriend at the time.
Right.
And my roommate, but we weren't super close at this point either. Yeah, because we both were always spending time with our boyfriends if we weren't in class. And just every time he'd come up every single weekend. I never went home until like Thanksgiving break.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just, if he wasn't up here, I was down there visiting him because he went to school about an hour away. So we still had that kind of long distance thing, but it was still manageable.
Right.
And at home, too, he lived about 45 minutes away from me, so we were never really in the same place at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I think a lot of the trust issues came from.
Right.
But basically, it was around, like, Halloween time, where now we've been dating for, like, 4 months at this point. Like, I still thought everything was going great, and I was in love, and it was such a good experience. And then I would just notice he started doing things, like he would be looking at my clothes and saying, oh, you wear this in public, or he would start looking at me like, why do you need all that makeup and do your hair, like, I'm just coming up, who are you doing it for? And at the time I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't wear this, maybe I shouldn't do that and go out. So I kind of was like, oh, okay, yeah, like, I'll get rid of these clothes, like, I won't wear as much makeup. And then I noticed a couple, like, times, like, he'd come up every weekend, and we were just constantly fighting, like, it was always I did something wrong. It was never his fault. It was, why didn't you answer your text? Why are you taking a nap at 3 in the afternoon?
It was always coming back to you, and he would get super, like, defensive.
Yeah, he always. And there wasn't a time that we would have just, like, a good time together. It was always, had to be, I was always crying. I don't think there was a single day when we were together that I didn't cry. Just the emotional strain I had on me, just because I was like, what am I going to get in trouble for this weekend?
Yeah.
And I didn't tell my roommate about it, obviously. She always knew I was crying, but she had just told her, like, I was homesick, or I was having a bad day, just because I didn't want her to think negatively of him.
Which most people do, they try to protect, like, their significant other.
Yeah.
And so I understand
And I didn't want anyone to judge me for the choice that I was making.
Right.
And I think what really set him off one night, I went out to a party with a couple of my friends, and I didn't text him for about 2 hours. And he actually drove up to Bloomsburg because I didn't answer him and was like, what are you doing? Why aren't you answering me? This is ridiculous, like, slamming doors, like, hitting stuff, not me ever, but just, like, the walls and throwing my stuff everywhere. And I was like, why? Like, why don't you trust me? I didn't do anything to not earn your trust or lose it. Like, I've been everything but good to you. I don't talk to people here. And he just would always make me feel terrible about my decisions. And I didn't know for a couple months that whenever he visited me and I was sleeping, he would go through my phone. I had to change my passwords. I don't know how he figured them out every time, but he did. He would go on my MacBook while I was sleeping, and there's like a text bar that if you type in like keywords, then all those texts with those keywords would come up. So he would look up his name or the guy.
So any time that like you talked about him or any guy's name, like he knew that.
He would look through all my messages with my best friends at the time, and then he would actually delete all the my guy friends I have on social media. And he was just like, you can't talk to them. Like, they're competition to me. I don't know why you'd want to talk to other guys. I should be the only guy you're talking to. And at the time, I was like, okay, like, I didn't mean to disrespect you.
Right.
Oh, that's fine. But then I started noticing he would just do it every single time, so it wasn't be one big thing I noticed.
It was starting to become very, very unhealthy.
Yes, very unhealthy. Like, I didn't talk to my family. Like, I used to talk to my mom, like, every single day.
Yeah.
And it just, because I knew she would notice something different in me, and I didn't want her to notice me because my family loved him. He was such a good guy. Like, he was going to be, like, he wanted to be in criminal justice, wanted to be a cop. And I was like, okay, like, I don't want people to look negatively on him. And that's just, I think, why I kept it in for so long. And then at, like, one of the points, he literally took all, like, my makeup and my hair, like, products, like, my straightener, my hair dryer, took it back to school with him an hour away and was like, you can't wear this. And then that's kind of when my friends started noticing and saying, why aren't you, like, doing your makeup? You love doing makeup. And I was like, oh, well, like, it just makes him uncomfortable, so I don't want to look good, like, when he's not here. And I just, at that point, I think I realized what, like, hearing it out loud kind of made me be like, okay, this is not a good situation.
Right.
I probably should be out of it now.
Right.
And over Christmas, I tried breaking up with him. He wouldn't let me. He was like, I'm the only guy that's ever going to love you. Like, you don't deserve anyone else but me. And I was just like, well, okay, maybe I don't. Like,
right,
maybe
that's
you're the best.
that is something, like, tough to hear, especially with, like, a first relationship.
Yeah, my first, because I was like, oh, maybe, like, I am in the wrong in all these
Right.
situations. I'm causing his anger.
Exactly.
And so we tried to break up, and at this point, like, we weren't in school anymore. The semester was over. Oh, and during our finals week, like, the first semester in college, even for me, like, he was already a sophomore, but he drove up on finals week, like, kept me up for hours fighting so I couldn't study for my exams. Like, we kept my roommate up, and just because, like, he would look on my phone and wake me up in the middle of the night and go, what is the matter with you? And I was like, I don't know what you want to fight about now. And I literally try and go back to sleep, and he's just, like, on my phone. And it was so unhealthy. But yeah, during finals week, he kept coming, like, up and just would randomly visit me. But I know it's because I wasn't answering if I was studying, and he just didn't like that I wasn't available 24/7 to talk to him.
So when he would do these, like, random visits, like, he would basically make it seem like, you know, he just wanted to come see you.
Yeah,
but,
he's like, oh, I missed you, but I know he was trying to, like, snoop and find stuff.
So it was an excuse each time for him to basically, you know, mentally and emotionally abuse you.
Yeah, pretty much. And he would turn, like, my location on my phone. I didn't even know I had that, like, availability on my phone at the time, but he knew about it, and he would always turn, like, my location on, would
without
watch
you knowing?
Without me knowing. Like, he'd be like, oh, where are you going? I was like, I'll be like, oh, I'm at the library. He's like, well, why are you at the cafeteria then? And I'm like, how do you know I'm at the cafeteria? Like, you're an hour away.
Right.
So it was just, like, all these, like, suspicious things that would keep happening. And I was like, I don't understand how you know this. And then it kind of just all started clicking, like, okay, maybe this is not a good relationship. Maybe he's not this great, wonderful guy that everyone seems to think he is.
Yeah.
And I knew his parents had, like, marriage problems, too.
Okay.
His mom cheated on his dad a couple times in the past. Like, it was just, he was in a rough, like, family setting.
Yeah. Do you think that contributes to kind of, like, how he acted in your relationship? Like,
I think so, because then he kind of has those trust issues from seeing his parents.
Right.
So it just went right on to our relationship. When there was
no need.
There's no need for trust issues. Like, I've never, like, would be one to cheat or do anything disrespectful. Like, I just want to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, a lot of them came from.
Yeah.
But now, like, we're over Christmas time, and, like, we're buying each other presents this whole time, and I know the one time it was a gift I got him. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was, like, tickets to, like, a sports game. And he's like, do you even know me? You know I don't like this team. But he did. And it was just another reason for an argument. And I was like, no, like, I'm pretty sure you remember, like, you saying you love this team. He's like, those are the worst basketball players. Like, I don't know why you'd even waste your stupid money on that. And I was like, why are you causing an argument on Christmas? Like, it's supposed to be a happy time. Even if you don't love the team, like, you should be happy I thought of something that was going to be
and that's
unique.
Something fun to still do. Like,
to go to a basketball games, because when we were, like, together in school, we would never go out. We'd have to stay in, have a movie night, order food. We didn't go out to restaurants. Like, we didn't go out together ever. Didn't do anything fun. And I think that's because he wanted to seclude us in my dorm room. Or, like, even if I went to visit him, I was like, oh, like, let's hang out with your friends. He was on the rugby team. Like, we couldn't talk to anyone. Like, and I was like, well, maybe he doesn't want people to see me. But I think it was just really, in the end, like, he didn't want other people seeing how he was treating me.
Yeah. He's embarrassed, and he kind of wanted to hide in, some type of shell, like anything he could find to kind of keep his problems, like, away from other people.
And when I went home for Christmas break, my friends were like, you need to leave him. Like, he's not a good guy for you. He's, like, this is not okay. These are red flags. I was like, oh, like, maybe these were red flags, that he was, like, affecting my schooling, like, my time and my experience as a freshman. So I tried to break up with him, like, 4 different times. He would show up to my house, keep calling me out, like, because we worked together at this point still, and we were there. And I told my manager, I was like, I'm trying, like, I'm in a bad situation right now. Like, can you put us on different shifts? He would still show up because he can look at my schedule. Even though we weren't in the same department, he can still see because there's a paper copy.
Of course.
So he would show up. Like, I had to get the managers a couple times to walk me to my car because I know he's just waiting out there for me.
Yeah.
And this whole time he's like, I don't know why you don't love me. I've never treated you nothing but amazing. Pretty much making me feel just like a bad person for wanting to leave the relationship. And at this point, I still haven't told my parents because I was so scared. I just didn't know what to do. It was only telling my closest friends that I had left because he made me, like, isolate everyone else, that I was too afraid to, like, talk to anyone, kind of. So that he, like, would seem like he's the only one I can trust and talk to. But finally, I just said, like, enough's enough. Like, I will get the police involved if you don't leave me alone. And then he tried to pull, like, the suicide card on me. He's like, I can't live without you. Like, I'll kill myself if I'm not with you. I don't know what I'll do. And I was just like, that's not, you can't do that to a person. Like, I was so young at the time. I was only 18.
That can scar someone very emotionally for a very long time. For someone to do that to you.
He was 20 years old. I was 18. Like, he knew that kind of, like, experience, and he knew that I was vulnerable at the time. He was
taking advantage of, like, who you were to him and, like, how you were always there for him. That's not fair.
So then finally I ended things. I had to block him on everything. He quit the job that we were working together at because he couldn't see my face every day, and I was just like, well, that's hard for me too, because people at work were like, oh, like, what happened? Like, why aren't you guys together anymore? Like, why did you quit? And it was so hard just to, like, listen to all the questions. Because I was so in love at the time, and that's what, like, I really thought it was. But it was just, it really made me an insecure person, and now I'm always, like, kind of questioning guys. Like, it's hard to open up to new people and say, like, is this okay? Like, is this going to be a good relationship or a bad relationship?
Do you feel like you kind of have, like, a wall up now? And
definitely.
You sometimes, like, do you find yourself, like, when you meet someone that's, like, potentially you're interested and you kind of look back to that relationship and kind of start basing it off of that and get a little scared.
I compare it so much. Because I'm like, well, maybe, like, I'll see some of this, like, similar traits in him, and I'll be like, oh, he has trust issues. I can't do that again.
And it just really puts you back away from even trying with anyone else.
And, like, I spent, like, so many years trying to rebuild all the, like, relationships I have lost because of it. And people are just like, how can you let that happen? And it's so hard if you're not, like, in the moment, you want everything to be perfect. You don't want the fights to happen. Like, you don't want it, like,
no one wants that, And it's very hard, like, when you have your friends, you know, coming at you, like, wondering why you didn't put a stop to it. But it's also, like, when you're with your first person that you've ever experienced something like that with, and you're put in a position like that, like, it's very hard for someone else to judge and kind of put themselves in your shoes unless they're in your spot. So I don't think that you should ever, you know, feel bad for what happened. You know, you were young, and that's what happens when, you know, you care about someone. Has he ever reached out, like...
No, I've never talked to him.
Ever since? No.
Since I blocked him, probably it was, like, January of 2016.
Yeah,
my freshman year. And after I blocked him, I've never heard from him again. He's never come into work. Like, and we only live 45 minutes from like at home. So I was so surprised. That I was like, oh, I'll run into him at some point. Like, I have to. Like, we have mutual friends, and I've never seen him. Like, I don't know where he is, what he's doing with his life. And I'm kind of happy about that because I feel like if I were to, like, see him at some point, like, I'm still, like scared of him.
Yeah, right.
Just from all that, like, I've been through. Like, I don't want to see him. I know that's not a healthy, like, coping mechanism.
Yeah. I mean, but sometimes it's easier, to, like, numb the pain and get over things from avoiding people. And, I mean, I think it was very healthy for him to, leave, and you guys haven't had contact. So I think that's very smart. So if I'm correct, are you basically trying to seek counseling because of kind of the relationship, the negative thoughts you have about a relationship, or is it more thoughts about yourself?
A little bit of both. I just want to know how I can get into, like, new relationships without always comparing it to that one.
Of course.
And just how to, like, not be so insecure and be able to, like, stand up for myself more. Because if I was more of, like, a stronger person, I would have been like, no, my clothes are fine. I can wear makeup. It's not for anyone else. Like, it's for myself.
Yeah.
But at the time, like, I wasn't strong enough to do that. So, like, a little bit both, I guess.
Okay. Whenever you think of, like, situations, let's say you were in that situation now, after knowing what you know, do you think you would be able to kind of stand up for yourself, or are you not sure because you haven't been in a serious relationship since then? Like, is it easier to say that you would stick up for yourself, or, like, do you find yourself grown from that, or are you continuing to grow on that?
I think I'm very, like, grown from it, just because now that I haven't jumped into another relationship, I take it, like, very seriously. Right before we're about to date, like, when we're still in that talking stage, I need to make sure that there's no red flags. Like, I know last summer I was talking to this one guy from home, and he was kind of doing the same things. Like, he gave me this bracelet for, like, my birthday, but every time I see him, he's like, why aren't you wearing that bracelet? Don't you like that bracelet I got you?
Okay.
And I put an end to it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not getting the same situation I was in. Like, I like you, you seem like a good guy, but I'm going to separate myself from the situation before it happens.
Right.
So I think it just takes me a lot more to be able to, like fully get into a relationship with someone because of that. So I feel like it has, like, helped me grow.
Yeah, I agree. And, sometimes, like, the most difficult, like, moments in our lives, like, they teach us something, like, very important. And I think it's a good thing that you're on guard, about, future relationships, maybe even friendships. I'm sure this might, like, affect friendships. You start to see red flags about people. And that's okay. I think that's very good. That's a good, like, trait to have. But we can, while you're here, like, with counseling, with therapy sessions, we can work through some stuff about, we'll talk about more about your past, and maybe we can get into, a lot of times, my clients and I, like, I ask about, their family history and stuff like that. So, like, your history, and then sometimes we can find things that will work for you.
Yeah.
So what are your end goals for therapy? Like, do you want to just continue, like, the sessions? Are you considering, like, medications? Like, what is your desire from therapy in the end?
I think my biggest, like, goal is just to have more self-confidence and just know that, like, I am a strong person. I don't need to be treated like that ever again. Okay. And I'm not a big fan on just medications because I think talking is a very, like, good coping mechanism to do. And I don't want to just kind of suppress the problem. I really want to try and, like, work on it, deal with it up front, and not hide from it, where, like, you can kind of cover it up with medications.
I agree. Yes, I think that's very healthy. That's a healthy mindset, like, a way to go about this. I think that if we meet, like, once every 2 weeks, because usually, like, once every week, I do with patients that seem a little more anxious, and but would once every 2 weeks work for you?
Yeah,
you think?
I think that'd be good.
Okay, so let me just check my schedule. Are you available, so not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, around noon. Does that work?
Yeah, I think that could
Is
work.
that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will put that on my calendar, and then I will have the office, send you a text closer to the date, and then you can come in 2 Tuesdays from now, and we can continue our session.
Do you think I'm on like a good path to becoming better?
I think the first thing, have you ever sought therapy, like counseling before?
This is my first time.
Okay, so I think that this is a great, approach to getting better, or like just, feeling better about yourself. Sometimes it's a lot easier. Sometimes people find it a lot easier to talk to someone they don't know, which is, me. And eventually we can build, a relationship where you trust me, and you should be able to trust me. But I think this is very smart for you to do. You said that it was embarrassing to talk about to your friends and your family, and you didn't want to tell your family. So I think that this will be very healthy for you.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, it was nice meeting you, Emily.
Nice to meet you too.
And I'll see you very shortly.
Thank you.